Greetings everybody. So in this video we are going to discuss the use of the subplot function in Matlab. Okay, I'm starting with some very basic data, t, y, and z, which are just trigonometric numbers. Now I assume you already know the basics of plotting functions and time series in Matlab. As you know, after you plot the graph of a function, you can use your mouse to interactively change the width, the boldface, the text size, the color of the graph, add grid or remove grid. So you can do interactively using your mouse any changes that you like in the graph. But also you can integrate changes in the graph using your code directly inside your script file. Okay, so what is subplot? Subplot allows us to create a single figure that consists of multiple subfigures inside, and we can use each individual subfigure to plot our data separately. Okay, the way to do so is to use the command called subplot. Okay, now subplot takes three arguments as input. The first two should remain fixed throughout the use of the subplot, and the third one is the index. Now, the first two are basically the dimensions of the subgraphs that we're going to create. What do I mean by that? Think of it like pretty much like giving matrix dimensions. Okay, just like in linear algebra. So for example, here the command subplot 1, comma 2 tells MATLAB that it wants to create a figure that consists of one line and two columns. Okay, just like matrix dimensions. So it's going to create a subfigure with basically two figures put individually in a straight line. So position 1 and position 2. Okay. The third variable that we're giving it is the index, which is basically the numbering of the subplot that we're currently in. So by doing this, I'm creating a subfigure that has dimension 1 times 2, so one row and two columns, and then I'm choosing the first subfigure to work on. Okay, the numbering starts from line to line, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on and so on. Okay, so after I include this, any command from here on only refers to this specific subplot. So I'm plotting my data, I'm putting a title. This title has to do not with the whole graph, but just with this subfunction. I'm setting the grid, the box, and also the font sizes. So after I run this, let's see what we get. Very nice. So we have this graph right here. First position, which is line 1, column 1, we get this graph. The rest is blank at the moment. Okay. So if I want to plot now on the second part, I'm including a secondary subplot command right here. The first two arguments are the same. So we again have subplot 1, comma 2. Okay, 1 times 2 matrix. And now I'm moving into the second element, okay, which is the element on the right. So any command from here on refers to the second graph. So I plot my other data. I include another title, grid, box, and also set the axis size and boldface. So let me run this as well. Very nice. And now we got the second graph. Okay. By the way, here in my code, I'm doing the font sizes and the font weight individually for each subgraph. Okay. If you Google how to do it, you can find a way to include a single command that will affect all of the individual subblocks with one single line of code. Okay, but I don't have it here. Now, this is the way that we create subplots. Okay. Another very interesting command is the SG title. Now, each individual title here affects the title of the specific graph, but SG title affects the whole graph. So it's a title that is going to go around for the complete graph right here. And of course, it can take the classic arguments. So for example, here I have SG title, trigonometric functions. I actually have some separate arguments like, oops, I'm sorry, font size, come on, font size and font weight. Okay, so I tell the title to be also size 12 and boldface. Okay, so let's run everything. And you can see that we have this big title right here and the titles for each individual graph. Okay, so that's it. Now you can change the way that the graphs are plotted, depending of course on what type of data do you have. So for example, here I have the exact same code as before, but what do I have? I changed the subplot command. So I make it 2 comma 1. Okay. So this means that we are having a subplot with 2 rows and 1 column. Okay. So if I run this code, you will see that each individual each individual graph, I'm sorry, now takes one single straight line across the graph. Okay. So which is better? Of course, this has to do with the type of data that you have. For example, if you're plotting against time, if the time interval is very, very big, it is better to go this way. Because in this way, each graph takes a lot of space in the horizontal uh, region, so it's much more better displayed. If you choose the other method where you have one graph in each column and the time is very, very big, it's gonna get compressed pretty much like an accordion, you know, so it's not gonna look good. So there is no right or wrong way. You just have to decide for yourself depending on the type of graphs that you have. Okay. The result is going to be the same, but it's going to be displayed differently. Now, let me give you another example. Here I have a graph. Well, let's erase that for the moment, where it is 2 by 2. Okay, so I have subplot 2, comma 2, comma 1. I plot some information here. Then I have subplot 2, comma 2, comma 2. So I go to the second index, which is top right. Okay. And then I have subplot 2, comma 2, comma 4. Okay. Now here, since the graph is 2 by 2, I have 4 overall subfigures. So the numbering goes from the first line to the second line to the rest. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And if we have bigger dimension, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So let me see the result if I run this. Okay. By the way, for the first graph, I have some plot3 function, just as an example. So this is what I get. Okay, so this is the subplot for the first index, the second index, the third, which I didn't include, so it's just blank, and then the fourth. Okay, very nice. You can use again individual titles and whatever else you like. Now, first of all, you can do any changes that you want from here on interactively. So if you click on the mouse here, you can manipulate each of these graphs as you like. So for example, you can move this in the middle if you prefer and you like this thing better and then save the figure. Maybe you want to increase the size of this graph. Okay, so maybe you want to do something like that or maybe even go wider for both of them. Okay, so you can do whatever you like to the graphs interactively using your mouse. Okay, for example, you can maybe make this even better. Okay, so any change that you like, you can do it interactively. Okay, but let's look at the default result from the code. Okay, here I have 3 graphs, and let's say that for the first one on the top left, I want to improve it a little bit because it's printed a bit slow, a bit, small. And since this is a 3D graph, let's say that ideally, since I also have the third index, the third subfigure, which is not used at all, let's say I want to combine the first and the third subfigure together into a big figure, something like that. Now, I can do it interactively using my mouse, as you saw, but I can also tell Matlab to do it. And the way to do so is to tell Matlab to actually merge 2 subfigures. Okay. So the way to do so is if I go here to the third argument and instead of an index, I give it a matrix, a vector actually. So I say 1, comma 3. So this tells it that I have a subplot with 2 by 2 dimensions. And from here on, I'm going to combine any plotting commands into the first and the third subfigures. Okay, so it combines them together, and this plot, okay, appears for the first and third subfigures. So let me run this. Very nice. And you saw that it did exactly that. It combined the 2 subfigures together into a single one. Okay, very nicely. So these are all the basic plotting commands for using subplot. Of course, you can have any variation that you like. Remember, for any single subplot command, anything that you do after this line right here affects this specific subgraph, okay, at the position with index 2. Try it out for yourself. You can try, of course, any different variations. Always prefer the arrangement that fits your own data. Okay, and of course, remember that if you do very big sized subplots like 3 by 3 or 4 by 4, each individual image is just gonna look very small. Okay, Uh, Anything that you have in question, just write it down in the comments, but of course, try it out for yourself. I don't believe you will have any issue whatsoever. Okay, so thank you very much.